Well, hello there, Giants fans. How we doing on this Thanksgiving week? It is Tuesday, and we're proud to bring you another edition of Giants Collective. As always, we're joined by Adriana down there, Anthony over there, and the troublemaker Chris down in the corner. No, I'm just kidding. Hope you all had a great weekend. We are here. Obviously, we have big news to discuss today, but before we get into all that, we got to take care of some business. As always, if you're watching, we appreciate you. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. We got over 6,400 subscribers. We really appreciate all the support. Thank you so much for that. You can check us out on TikTok and Instagram. If you want to become a member and get those really cool emojis in your name and the outros, you just click the join button as well. And this portion of Giants Collective is brought to you by Doer. That's right. Doer was started by a guy. Oops, I just messed up my freaking read. Let's start over again. Start over again. My phone just totally crapped the bed right there. All right, let's try that again. Take two. This portion of Giants Collective is brought to you by Doer, a Vancouver-based apparel making ridiculously comfortable jeans and pants that are actually made to move with you. It was started by a guy in the denim industry who ditched his car for a bike and realized none of his jeans could keep up, so he created denim that does. Their clothes are made from plants and recycled materials, and the fabric is lightweight, breathable, and built to handle your whole day, whether you're commuting, working, or going out. If you want to upgrade your everyday wear, go to shopdoer.com. That's shopdoer.com. Use the promo code Giants Collective 15 for 15% off your first order, and you can just click the link in the description. Automatically puts it in there for you. And they have a Black Friday sale going on right now. So from November 28th to December 1st, check out their Black Friday sale. Again, that's shopdoer.com/Giants Collective. But check it out, man. Black Friday, November 28th through December 1st. Get really good deals on some really awesome clothes. The Giants lose again, the way they always do. You guys got to pardon me. I'm sorry. I'm a little under the weather. The Giants lose like they always do. Chris and I did the game. We're up 27-17. I tweeted out, Lions got us right where they want us. And sure as shit, they did. We blow another double-digit fourth quarter lead. Fourth one this year in the fourth quarter. Of course, we blew a double-digit lead in New Orleans as well. Lost the Dallas game. Wondered why Shane Bowen hadn't been fired for like the last 2 months. It finally happened. It gives us something to be even more thankful for when you're eating your turkey, your stuffing, your potatoes, your mac and cheese, your lasagna, whatever you guys have for Thanksgiving. And you have some nice Thanksgiving dinner discussion to talk about how shitty Shane Bowen was. Adriana, we always start with the lady first. How did you feel about it when it happened? What was your reaction to the news of Shane Bowen finally getting the axe?
I was relieved. I mean, there's a big part of me that feels like it's all too little too late, but it's better than nothing at this point. And I really just feel like Kafka is fighting for a job. So if it's true, and it sounds like it's true now that they did give him full range to make changes to his staff, I'm glad that he's like grabbing the bull by the horns and saying, I'm going out my way. If that means I need my own defensive coordinator, I'm going to continue play calling. I'm switching up the quarterback too. Like whatever it is, good for him. I like to see it. I'm appreciative of it, but I know there's been so much conversation about like, he should have been fired weeks ago and why now, like the icing on the cake. I feel like when Mike Kafka went forward on 4th and goal, I said, Bowen's done because Kafka does not trust his defense to make a stop here. That's why he's going for it. Aside from the fact that you could say like, yes, he wants to be aggressive. Like that's definitely a part of it. But I really was just like, oh, he's done with the defense. Like he knows that they're not helping him out here. And I think, part of it too is it's like what we all said about trotting out Russ as the quarterback too midway through the season. Your players are not stupid. And I am sure that there were a lot of conversations in the building about how the players really felt about Bowen, and Burton spoke to the media and said, it is what it is. Like this happens when people get fired mid-season. Like you kind of expect stuff like this and it sucks, but he didn't seem all that upset about it. So I would venture to say that, you got to For Kafka, there's still 5 weeks left. There's still 5 games that you're trying to win, and you want the players to be on your side. And getting rid of Bowen, I think, is going to help him with that fact.
Anthony, how did you react to the news that Shane Bowen was fired?
With excitement, I suppose. I mean, at least we get to see this Giants defense without him. I think that's what we need to see, because there's been a lot of debate throughout this entire season over the roster, the quality of the roster, and whether or not the coaching staff is holding it back. And the only way that we can really get an understanding of who's holding who back and who the real issue is kind of by purging everybody, I feel like. One by one, Brian Dable went, and then obviously Mike Kafka took over, and the team has had a lot of fight, and Kafka's getting a lot of credit for that, but the team was still blowing leads in the fourth quarter. Shane Bowen's still here. Now he's gone. Do they still blow leads in the fourth quarter? I'm curious to see how that looks, and to see if any particular rostered players look any different as well. Does Abdul Carter play better now that Shane Bowen's not there? How does Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, how do they fit in this defensive front? So I'm just curious to see what the changes really are. It's kind of tough for a team to install a new playbook and change too much schematically midseason, especially when you're talking about 13 weeks down in the year. But really, this is too little too late, I think, is the best way to describe it. That's my reaction to it. Shane Bowen should have been fired well over a month ago. And had they done that, maybe they could have saved the season in some respect, because you're talking about 5 games where they did have a 10-point lead and they blew those 5 games. If they would have held on to those 5 leads, if they would have won those 5 games, we are talking about a 7-win team that's in the playoff hunt for sure. So if you go back all the way to the beginning of the season after a few weeks, I mean, really, you could argue that he should have been fired after week 2, the Dallas collapse. Had they just cut him out very early and gotten a change there, this could be a very different season. They sat on their hands. They waited too long. Dable is now getting criticism for being too loyal to certain coaches. I've been reading about that, and it makes sense. I think that this whole team was too loyal to Shane Bowen. They gave him too much time to turn it around. It should have been a shorter leash, and had they had the shorter leash, I do think this season could have gone entirely differently. But unfortunately, this is just an organizational mess and an organizational failure. And here we are, first team eliminated from the playoffs, and Shane Bowen had a large part in that. So, if he's not part of the success, then you just got to move on.
It's good to be first at something if you're a Giants fan. So at least we got that going for us. Chris, how did you react when you heard that Shane Bowen was canned?
I don't know if I want to use the term shocked. I was a little bit surprised. I didn't quite expect it. But like we talked about last week, if they were going to do it, it made sense. It was either going to happen this week or next. You weren't going to do it after the bye with 4 weeks to go. So we knew it was going to happen. If it was going to happen, we knew it was going to happen within the next 2 weeks. So the Giants elected to do it. Like Anthony said, and like I said last week, it's not like something I'm super excited about because it's too little too late. It's a change that should have taken place 5, 6, 7 weeks ago. We'll see what, I guess, Charlie Bowen does, the new defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. But do I expect him to be back next year? No, of course not. I don't think he's going to be the defensive coordinator for this team. So it'll be interesting to see if it improves the defense. And I think it's a move for Kafka, which I know that's the next topic. I'm excited to talk about Kafka because I think he did a good job in his second game. I think it's a move more so to analyze whether or not this change can give Kafka an opportunity to potentially steal the job to be the New York Giants head coach next year if the team can finish really strong. And he clearly had no confidence in him whatsoever, like Adriana pointed out. The fact that he went for it on 4th and goal at the 6. And I agree with the decision, and we'll talk more about that when we get to the Kafka segment of the show, based off the variables and the fact that Shane Bowen was the defensive coordinator. But that should tell you all you need to know. The fact that he went for it on 4th and goal at the 6 rather than taking a 6-point lead because he had no faith in his defense whatsoever to be able to come up with a stop late in that game, that alone is a fireable offense for Shane Bowen. Like you said, the countless 10-point debacles late in the fourth quarter this year. This is the 4th one. He's been a disaster. He was a guy that I was somewhat excited about when they brought him in. And I thought with this pass rush in the front 4 that his defensive philosophy could work. It clearly hasn't. He should have been gone at least 5 or 6 weeks ago. So too little too late, but somewhat intrigued to see what the defense could do without him.
Definitely too little too late. He should have been going after Denver. If he wasn't going after Dallas, that was the game. You blew a 26-8 lead, with 5 minutes to go. And then your rookie quarterback takes you down, scores a go-ahead touchdown with 37 seconds to go, and you fuck it up the way you did the Dallas game. You do the same exact shit you did against the Cowboys when you said, oh, I learned from my mistake, and it's obvious he didn't, and he never learned. We should have beat the Bears. We should have beat the Cowboys. We should have beat the Broncos. We should have beat the Lions. We could have beat the Packers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And yes, I feel like the coup de grace was Kafka going for it, and I love that he did. And again, we'll get into Kafka, but I love that he went for it on fourth down because he said, I'm not going to play not to lose. We score a touchdown here, this game's over. Even Bowen can't fuck this defense up. And people on Twitter and other things, on my video are like, oh, you should have taken the 3 points. That was terrible. Why? Did you see what the Lions did in overtime? One play, 69-yard touchdown, man. You don't think the Lions would have went down and scored a damn touchdown? That's insane. And by the way, the field goal was insane. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. And there was all these conspiracy theorists out there talking about there's magnets in the football. And then the guys are like, oh, he drew the football. Bullshit. When you draw a golf ball or a soccer, you start it right or left and hook it back. It doesn't go straight and then way to the right and then way back to the left. I don't know if it clipped the wire or what it did. That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was weird. But of course, 59-yard field goal, of course, against the Giants. Why not? You think you're ever going to miss one? They could kick it from 79 yards, and this shit would be good against us anyway. But y'all know how I feel about Shane Bowen. Couldn't stand him. Didn't want to look at him. So glad that he's gone. It doesn't even matter now. We just don't have to look at him. Mike Kafka, who we're going to get into here in a second, Mike Kafka is fighting for his job. And one thing I like about Mike Kafka is he immediately made decisions. Like, I don't know if it's his decision to put Isaiah Hodgins back on this team, but how good has Isaiah Hodgins been since he came back here? Which is why I think that was a Brian Dable thing. People are like, oh, that's Joe Shane. If it was Joe Shane, why the hell is he back at all? Why is he back the first week Kafka's the head coach? Why did Hodgins come back if Joe Shane didn't want him here? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And it's just weird how they brought him in here and then they phased him out and then they didn't bring him up all year after Malik Neighbors got hurt, after we had nobody. Slayton's been hurt. Why is he here all of a sudden? There's been some interesting moves. I like that Kafka fired. I like that he is exercising, his head coaching prowess and making these decisions. I feel like it's good for him to do so. And I thought he called a great game. Honestly, it's a game that we should have won. And you know what? I have a very cool statistic. It's not cool. It's pretty funny, though. Jameis Winston has more receiving touchdowns than Jalen Hyatt and Darius Slayton combined this year. How about that one? How about that one? Hey, Darius Slayton, remember when you got on Chris about Malik Neighbors? Jameis Winston has more receiving touchdowns than you, buddy.
More touchdown. More. You brought up Jalen Hyatt this year. More. I don't think Jalen Hyatt's ever caught a touchdown, right? So more touchdowns than Jalen Hyatt throughout his entire career. But what a fun play that was, the Jameis Winston touchdown. That was the highlight of the year, that play.
Yeah, that was pretty fun, without question. So talk about Mike Kafka in a second. And of course, this portion of Giants Collective is brought to you by our friends at Manta Sleep. You're tired of waking up before your alarm because the sun hits your face? The Manta Original Sleep Mask blocks out every bit of light so you can stay asleep. It's right here. And, after that turkey, you want to lay down and take a nap and that tryptophan is hitting you, but it's a little bit too bright. You just throw one of these on your face and you're not going to see anything. I mean, these things are fantastic. It's true 100% blackout. It blocks all light, even around the nose and sides for complete darkness. Soft memory foam cups that can be positioned to fit your face perfectly without any eye pressure. Soft, lightweight, breathable materials that keeps you comfortable all night and won't overheat. And it has a fully adjustable strap, which fits all head sizes and stays in place through the night, which is great because, like I mentioned before, I have a very small head. With Manta Sleep Mask, you get total blackout everywhere, anytime. The memory foam eye cups give you a pressure-free fit in the lightweight materials, make it easy to wear, even if you toss and turn. So just go to mantasleep.com and use the promo code NYG to get 10% off your order. That's mantasleep.com, promo code NYG to get 10% off. And like I said, when you have to tryptophan, at least you won't have to look at Shane Bowen. You don't even need this now. We don't have to look at Shane Bowen anymore. But, we'll see how it goes. But thank you, Manta Sleep. So, Anthony, Kafka's had 2 head coaching games so far. Of course, we're 0-2. Me personally, I don't really think he had a lot to do with it. I think he did a good job. What do you think he did? How do you think he did?
I think he did a decent job. I think that some fans are overrating him a little bit. I've seen a lot of fans immediately react to this and say, oh, if he keeps this up, we should retain him. Team is 0-2. They still lost. Okay.
Yeah.
So, they haven't won a game under Mike Kafka. So I can't get ahead of myself. What I can say is that the offense is rolling. The offense is efficient. The timing of the trick plays has been great. And just kind of the overall efficiency of the offense has definitely impressed me. And this is without Jackson Dart. So I can't really give a proper determination of Mike Kafka until I see him with Jackson Dart, though, because the offense looks good now. I hope it looks even better with Dart. And if it does, okay, then maybe I'll start to jump on the bandwagon. But I want to see Jackson Dart underneath him and see how he performs. But I still think that Kafka is what we've seen from him in the past is still what we're seeing right now in many ways, because the offense is rolling and they're scoring, but still the red zone, I think, has been a problem at times, even still over the last 2 weeks. And the decision-making at the end of the game, while I agree going forward on fourth down made a lot of sense, passing it on second down and throwing an incompletion on an out route didn't make sense. That killed the clock. Yeah, that was a bad play call, but that's something that Mike Kafka did in New Orleans, right? Remember when we had that collapse, they threw the ball when they clearly should have run, or was that against Denver? I don't know. We've had so many collapses this year. It's hard to remember when and where, but it's that kind of situational clock management thing that we were blaming Dable for a few weeks ago, and now Kafka's in the position. He could have actually prevented something like that from happening, and he made the same mistake that either Dable made weeks ago or Dable took the blame for it because it was Kafka's fault. We don't know. So I don't think he's been perfect. I think he's been good. I wouldn't even say that he's technically been better because he still hasn't won a game yet. So I just need to see more from him. So far, so good. There's fight from the team, that's for sure, and I'm happy about that. But now that he's made the defensive coordinator change, let's see if they can finish some games, and let's see if he can get down that kind of clock management stuff that I still don't think he's got kind of figured out yet.
Yeah, I love Jameis Winston. I just want to say that right now. I love Jameis. Chris, how do you think Kafka's done so far?
I think Kafka's done well. By no means am I, like Anthony said, by no means am I advocating for him to be the head coach, but I'm still open to it being a possibility. Let's see the last 5 games. Let's see what the team looks like. If they win 4 out of the last 5, Jackson Dart looks good. Yeah, I think you have to strongly consider him to be the head coach next year. If they go 1-4, 2-3, no. I think the only way Mara could even entertain the possibility, the team has to finish strong. They have to win at least 3 out of the last 5, and they have to look good doing it. They're probably going to need to win at least 4 out of the next 5 for Kafka to more than likely even be a strong candidate to be the head coach next year for the New York Giants. What I will say, Anthony, and I agree for the most part, the smart decision there on the second down is to run the ball because you want to run the clock. You want to make them use the timeout. But at the end of the day, if Jameis Winston does his job, the guy is wide open. The play call wasn't bad. The guy was wide open. Winston even said it after the game. If Winston hits him on the throw, the game's over. There's 3 minutes to go. They have 1 timeout, and they need to recover an onside kick to win the game. So
which they would have.
I agree with you. But the play would have worked if Jameis Winston did his job.
The play also could have worked if they just handed it off up the middle. That's the point, is that making that play call, yes, the guy was open, but when you throw the ball there, you inherently open yourself up to the risk of the throw being missed, of the pass being dropped. So it's not a good play call, in my opinion. You run the ball. You waste the clock. You could throw it on third if you need to. You can run it again on third. You run the ball. Like, that's what you're supposed to do there. I don't care if the guy was open or not. That's the whole point. Even if he's wide open, you open yourself up to risk, and that's a risk that he need to open himself up to. Same thing when Jackson Dart threw that interception in Denver. You just run the ball and you run out the clock.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think the better approach there would be to run the ball. But I still think if Jameis Winston executes, nobody's talking about it. They score the touchdown, they win the game. The game's over.
The play he called was a good play to call. It was a good play, but it wasn't the right situation to call it.
I agree with that, especially with your third string quarterback.
And that's my issue. Kafka, I think he calls good plays. I don't think he calls good plays situationally. That's always been my issue with him.
Yeah. And what I'll say about the third down play call, I agree with the run on that situation. I saw a lot of people debating that. It didn't work, but I thought they were offside on that play. I would have loved.
They were offside. They were definitely offside.
They looked like they jumped offside big time. And then the 4th and 6 to me, as crazy as it sounds, and Baddog, we said it when we were live. I was 100% they're going for it on 4th down if they didn't lose any yards there. That was a lock. Once they lost the 3 yards, I was like, it's kind of 50-50 because it's 4th and 6. It's a very low percentage play. But when you think about it, with how bad Shane Bowen is, call me crazy for saying this, I think the Giants had a better chance to win that game if they didn't convert on 4th down than if they kicked the field goal. Here's my reasoning. If they kick the field goal, Lions start with the ball at the 35-yard line. And all they need is a touchdown. If you don't convert, you're still up 3. They have the ball on the 6, and they go into the drive thinking, well, we could extend this game by kicking a field goal. I think the way that they would have operated would have been entirely different if they needed a touchdown, and I think it was a sure thing we were going to lose that game. So that's why, in my mind, they had to go for it there, because you can't trust Shane Bowen. In a normal circumstance where you could trust your defense, of course you take the 3 points and you force them to kick the touchdown. But the way that Bowen's operated, I think it was a no-brainer for Kafka to go for it there. Obviously, in hindsight, I get the argument. And yes, I think the smarter approach would have been to run the ball on second down. But at the end of the day, Anthony, like you said, it wasn't a smart time to call the play, but he called a good play. He was open, and if he hits on the pass, the game's over. They have to recover an onside kick to win the game. And I think Kafka's line of thinking, to defend him a bit, was everybody in the world is expecting us to run. And my goal here is to end the game and score a touchdown. This is the time to throw because they're going to be expecting a run. The guy was wide open. Winston missed the pass.
Oh, John, how do you feel that Kafka's done so far in his 2 games as head coach?
I like the play calling. I think he's done a good job with it. During the Packers game, I would have liked to see him run the ball more towards the end of it, because I felt like you give the Packers the ball back with less time. Maybe you trust the defense to make a stop there, which reality, we're never trusting the defense to make a stop. But if there's less time on the clock, there's less opportunities. So I do think that in the last 2 games, in the last 2 minutes, I would have liked to see him run the ball a little bit more, especially against the Lions. He still had 3 timeouts left and the Lions had 2. So I just would like to see him be a tiny bit better than that. Feels a little nitpicky, but it is what it is. I think he's still kind of learning clock management and whatever. I think he's mostly been better than Dable with the clock management in the last 2 minutes. He's been more efficient. So I like a lot of what he's done. I like the roster moves that he made and things like that. I thought he did a great job with the play calling. The fact that not only did 2 trick plays work and be successful, they also ended up in touchdowns, which was unbelievable, unlike anything I've seen from the Giants. And I'm like, at least if we're going to lose, like, at least make it kind of fun. And that was fun. The other thing that I feel like has not been discussed, and it might be too early to tell, but in the last 2 games, the Giants have had less penalties than their opponents. And one of the things that I have screamed about with Dable, the lack of accountability, the lack of discipline, has resulted in a shitload of penalties. And against the Packers, they had 5, and against the Lions, they had 7. And against the Lions, there was not a single false start from the offensive line, not one. And there have been so many in the red zone, specifically under Dable, that have set them back and put them in a position where they have been moved out of the red zone and then they can't score a touchdown because of it. So that is something that, again, let's see how the rest of the season goes, but it's looking like it's starting to be a pattern that's headed in the right direction. So there's a lot of things to like about Kafka. I'm not out here saying that because he did those things, he needs to be our head coach next year. Like Anthony said, it's about wins. You got to win games. And if they go out there on Monday with Jackson Dart and maybe a healthy Adebo and Tay Banks is not on the field, maybe they have a chance of winning and pulling an upset here. And, the games after that, I think they're very capable of winning. But at the very least, the players are playing really hard for Kafka. They are working their asses off. No one has given up. Tay Banks is the exception to all of this. But everyone else, I feel like they're really fighting through it. And I don't know, maybe it's just like the interim head coach thing, and we'll see how it continues. But I just feel like we've seen the players be really defeated under Dable, especially earlier this year. And I know that they're upset that they're not winning, but they are still being productive. The defense was making stops. Like, we were winning that game. We had the lead all the way until the end. So, Darius Alexander, 2 sacks, Nacho, like, there's a lot of good that came out of this game. And I think that Kafka has done a better job than I expected, because with an interim coach, someone who's never been a head coach before, but who's had all these interviews, like, you never know what you're going to get. And maybe he just looks better because we've dealt with Dable, but I mostly like what I've seen so far, and I've been more impressed than I thought I would be.
I think he's done a good job. He already gets a nod of, a vote of confidence from me, because he fired No-Win Bowen, because that's who he is. Bowen, you have no win. That's pretty much the way it goes. I thought there was a couple of things. Number one, I thought the Lions helped us out by not running. I said before the game started that Jahmyr Gibbs might have 300 yards. Right at the beginning of the game, we're talking to Chris about how electric Sky is. He had 15 carries for 219 fucking yards. That's just under 15 yards a carry. That is just absolutely pathetic. And the other thing is, I don't know, you must have seen Carl Banks' rant on the Giants' inability to get off blocks. And again, why is Dexter Lawrence not on the field when you got to close out the game?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And people are like, oh, he's tired. Now people are like, oh, he's tired, Baddog. He's tired. Bullshit. And I'll tell you what, the first play of fucking overtime, he ain't tired. Why is he on the sideline when you had a 10-minute break? So Bowen, I swear he tried to lose his games. There's no way, if you never watched a football game in your life and you watch a Giants play, you'd say, hey, man, are they trying to lose? Like, what are they doing? Are they trying to pull the game? Like, did they even try in that play? When he went 69 yards untouched and they would score a goal, were they trying? Like, what were they doing? Did they just let him score? So I'm just so glad Bowen's gone. Anthony mentioned this, and this is a problem. The Giants have had many opportunities to win these games. The situational play calling down the stretch is awful. And this is why I'm going down with this ship, and I'll take all the criticism, and I'm probably going to be wrong. This is why I'm saying bring Joe Shane back. You don't compete. You don't have the Lions. You're not up by 10 points in the fourth quarter against Detroit or in Chicago or up by 18 in Denver if you don't have any talent. You're getting your doors blown off in those games. That's not what happened. The situational play calling on both sides of the football was total dog shit down the stretch. Now, I'm very interested to see exactly how the Giants defense reacts now that Bowen's not there. But I think Kafka's done a good job. I like the trickeration. I like the creativity on these play calls. And it makes it even better that they succeeded. I talked to Chris before the game in Detroit. I said it's not going to be dull. I mean, it's not going to be dull, and it wasn't. Giants, played a great game for 50 minutes. The game is 60 minutes long. If we could ever just call a good game for 60 minutes, like Anthony said, 7-5. If we were 7-5 right now, we're talking about Daboll for Coach of the Year. That is a fact. And that's how close the Giants have been. And that's why I want to give Shane more opportunity. I really do. Because I think with good coaching to get the most out of this talent and better situational play calling, the Giants, who had the toughest schedule in the NFL going into the year, would be winning these games, and we'd be saying, holy shit, look at the New York Giants, like they've turned it around. My opinion, let them have another shot at free agency in the draft, and let's see where it goes with a real coaching staff. If nothing else, I think Kafka has at least earned an interview. I think they will interview him for that coaching job. But like Chris mentioned, if we don't win games,
he's not got no shot.
But
what does Mara have to sell you on at that point?
Right, exactly.
He needs to win at least 3 out of these last 5 to even be in the conversation to be a legitimate candidate.
And we should. We should beat the Raiders, and we definitely should beat Washington. I mean, those are 2 games that we should definitely win. And we're winning Monday. I'm calling that right now. We're beating the Patriots. Dead ass serious. We're winning that game. And everybody's going, don't fuck up your draft pick. We're not drafting for a quarterback, so we ain't got to worry about it.
I think it'll be a competitive game. I'll say that.
Winning.
I think it'll be a competitive game.
We're winning. Calling it right now. Winning.
Yeah.
For the draft, if we end up top 10, I'm happy. I mean, having number 2 and being able to trade out would be great.
That'd be the best.
The more picks we have, the better. But my husband's a Pats fan, and if we upset the Pats on Monday night, that would be so much more.
Yeah, give him hell. That'd be great. Oh, let him hear it. He would hate. Oh my God, he wouldn't even need to give him hell. He would be hanging his head. How the hell do we lose? Speaking of which, Shane Bowen, Chris, you think the defense will be better now that he's gone? I mean, it can't be worse.
I mean, it can't be worse. But at the end of the day, the defense still has so many holes. Like Bowen sucks. He's awful. But the defense still has so many holes. Like the linebacking core right now is bad. It's like really bad. The secondary is really bad. So it'll look better. Like I hope that I have a little bit more faith at the end of the game that they could close it out, especially with that pass rush. I'd like to see a little bit more aggression with the new defensive coordinator. But I still think this defense, unfortunately, and some of it due to injuries with McFadden being out with the linebacking core and the secondary just not being as good as I was hoping it would be going into the year. I I still think this defense lacks a lot of talent outside of the pass rush.
The other thing the Giants did, I never forgot to mention, Adriana mentioned the lack of penalties. The stupid fucking penalty by Javon Holland. Like, you got to know better. And people talk about, oh, that would have been a 64-yard field goal. He would have made a 64-yard field goal. It doesn't matter. The big thing there is, with a penalty under 2 minutes, the clock stops. That was the big kick in the balls. There was they stopped the clock because he knocked the ball away and got to delay a game. That's just stupid. And listen, Abdul Carter has to learn how to get off blocks, man. And some of his optics are really bad in the field, in my opinion. He doesn't try all the way. And maybe that has something to do with Shane Bowen. And who the hell knows? Maybe they get a shot in the arm because Abdul Carter probably feels like he's not being utilized correctly. Maybe Dexter Lawrence feels that way because how good did Dexter Lawrence play? He was fantastic.
2 weeks
ago. Maybe he didn't get along with Dave. Who the hell knows? You know what I mean? But we're going to start to see different things now with different coaches, in my opinion. At least I hope so.
The guy you mentioned, the guys I am most excited about to see with the new defensive coordinator, to see if Abdul Carter is more productive with a different defensive coordinator. That's the guy I'm most excited to see on the defense.
Adriana, what do you think the defense will look like with a new DC?
I think at the very least, it's going to be more aggressive. I mean, Kafka has made that one of his big selling points, is that we're going to be more aggressive. He's doing it on offense, and I expect him to continue that with the defense. So I would like to see him focus on that. Hopefully Paulson and Debo's back, so you can feel like if you blitz more and you have a Debo, Phillips, and Flott, like, you can trust the corners a little bit. So I'm hoping to see more of that. I want to see, if Thibodeau's back, I want to see a good rotation there. I just want to see different looks. I want to see more creativity. We heard it from Spencer Rattler in week 5 that the defense is not creative. Mm-hmm. So I don't care what Bullen does. I just want to see him be a little bit more creative, disguise some looks. Drake May is still young. He's a damn good quarterback, but he's still young and he hasn't seen everything yet. So see if you can surprise him by doing something different this week. One thing that's also been really annoying to me with Bowen is that in training camp, some of the looks that we saw throughout his scheme were he was bringing different positions into blitz. So he was having the safeties and the corners blitz. And there's never been any of that this season, none that I can remember. So I want to see Bullen do stuff like that. And I do hope that he's going to help Abdul Carter take it to the next level a little bit. Even though he's been great, I really want to see him finish and get some sacks. So that would be nice. But I like that he comes from the Vance Joseph tree. And I do think that having that type of experience and background is going to help him be aggressive. He's got a lot of respect from the players. Brian Burns spoke to the media today and said he's super smart. He really likes him. They are very tight. And Burns also said that Bullen is one of the reasons why he has been as productive as he has been this year. So if he can take whatever he's done with Burns and translate some of that to Abdul Carter and maybe move Dex back to nose tackle, maybe we can see a different looking defense on Monday. You never know.
Anthony, how do you think the defense will fare without Shane Bowen?
It can't get any worse, can it? They got to get better. I think they'll get better.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll still close out games. I don't know enough. I don't think anybody knows enough about Charlie Bullen to really project how this defense is going to look. He's never called plays before. He's never been a defensive coordinator. So I just think this is a major relative unknown. I mean, knowing that he comes from Vance Joseph would be helpful if this was the start of the season, but he's going to have to use the playbooks in front of him. There's no time to change the whole playbook, change the schematics and everything. Now he can change situational play calling, which is kind of what we were talking about with Kafka. It's the same for the defense. The situational play calling has been poor there. They can definitely alter that in the game planning during the week. Maybe they can blitz more on third downs or, at the very least, though, just make sure you're not rotating your best players off the field in the most critical moments. That's like step number one. Dexter Lawrence needs to be on the field at the start of overtime. Dexter Lawrence should be on the field for major third downs and obviously for first and second down, since he's the big man who moves people. You want him there on first and second down against the run. So as long as he can figure those things out, he'll get a passing grade in my book, because I don't think this defense is that far away from being a good unit. In fact, I'm the one who said in the summer that this unit, talent-wise, looks pretty idiot-proof. I just didn't realize the caliber of idiot that we had running the show. So I guess it wasn't so idiot-proof. But they got to figure out, though, number one, the main priority needs to be stopping the run, obviously, but figuring out how to prevent these second level runs from turning into third level and home run.
Until
Home runs.
they can
That's
do
what they need to figure out.
Until they can do that consistently, Anthony, this pass rush is never going to reach what we all think that it can. Because when you can run the way the teams, I mean, the Eagles ran for like 300 yards against us this past week, and like Baddog said, they could have run for 400 on us. They ran the ball 14 times with Kibbs. And the other thing I'll say about the defense last week, it was not nearly as it could have been a lot worse. They dropped so many balls, the Detroit Lions, in that game. But until such time they could stop that run, this pass rush is never going to hit the next level. That's got to be the priority next offseason. Sure up the run defense.
Got to tackle. The tackling is so bad. And again, I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's lack of effort. I don't know if it's bad angles. Like, I don't know if they're missing assignments and they don't know where the hell to go on these. Like, it's who the hell knows what the calls are and where they're supposed to be. All we know is what we see. And what we see is really shitty football on that side of the football, especially in the fourth quarter. It's been really bad. With that said, that brings us to the end of the first portion of Giants Collective. We're coming up to the Q&A section, Giants Collective. And of course, the first part of the Q&A is always brought to you by our friends at SeatGeek. If you want to check out Jackson Dart and the New York Giants, because it looks like he's going to be back, you want to go check him out in person. Or if you want to go to New England, you can do that too. If you want to check him out on the road, all you got to do is click the link in the description and use the promo code Giants Collective 10 for 10% off of your SeatGeek tickets. Let's hear from them. 80 seconds back after this with your questions. What's going on, guys and gals? You looking for a fun activity? You want to get out of the house? You need something to do? Are you looking for a great gift idea? Well, if so, look no farther than the sponsor of Giants Collective, which is SeatGeek. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There's more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Giants season is underway. And say you want to check out Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders at MetLife Stadium? Well, it's easy. Just go to SeatGeek, scroll around, look for the tickets that you want, and SeatGeek's going to have your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Look for the green dots. That's good. The red dots, well, it's not so good. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use the code Giants Collective for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code Giants Collective. Make sure you click that link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek, for sponsoring Giants Collective, and let's go Giants! I'll have that kind of enthusiasm when we begin next year. I always do. And then by the time we get to this portion of the season, not so much. At least you'll have an exciting offseason, Giants fans. That's for sure. There will be no status quo. We'll have a lot to discuss in the offseason. Let's get to your questions. Our guy, L.A. Lou, thank you so much. An appropriate staff move for Thanksgiving.
Indeed.
That is right. Before we get any further, I just want to tell everybody in the chat, very thankful for all you guys and girls out there that support this channel, this show. It grew a lot over the last year, even though the Giants have been a very terrible organization. And hopefully next year is not the case. There's definitely some good things to look forward to. This year was not it, that's for sure, but you continue to support the channel, and we're very thankful for that. So we hope you all do have a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving with your friends and family. This show will be broadcast on Friday. Normally we do Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it's going to be Friday night because of Thanksgiving. So enjoy the Thanksgiving day. Watch, some teams that actually know how to play football and enjoy your friends and family, your dinner. Eat too much, drink too much, be merry, take a nap, use your Mantis sleep mask and all that good stuff. And like I said, watch some good football. You don't have to watch the Giants until Monday. So you have the whole weekend to recover before you get sick. So that's the way it goes. Jason, thank you, buddy. He says, everyone said the Lions were going to whoop us. For the most part, we had that game. We had that stadium quiet. A good head coach will have us in the playoff hunt next year.
My prediction was the Lions were going to put up 40-plus points on us. So the fact that we kept them to 27 during the regular game and then, the Gibbs thing. We all knew that Gibbs was just going to run all over us, but the fact that he was like semi-contained, and not from a touchdown standpoint, but from a run game standpoint, until overtime. I mean, he had those couple big runs, but I was really surprised. Like when they came out and really had the momentum for the majority of the first half, I was really impressed with this team. And that's one of the things that I have to think that goes back to Kafka. And look, they've done this with Jackson Dart under Dable, but when there's been other quarterbacks under Dable, they cannot score on the first drive. They cannot move the ball. And this time they could do it against a really good Lions defense with Jameis Winston. So I was really impressed. Obviously, a disappointing ending. Would have been really great to upset a team like the Lions, but I was really impressed that they were able to keep the lead for the most of the game, and they came out swinging right off the bat. Not what I expected.
I thought the Lions were going to handle us too, and they didn't. We handle ourselves the way we always do. You know, the Giants, I think they've scored on 7 opening drives this year, including 5 touchdown drives.
The other stat, I forgot the stat during the game. Maybe somebody can recall. At some point, they showed it. The Giants had like an insane amount, and credit to Jameis Winston. I saw people in the chat saying, "How could you blame Jameis Winston for the game?" I didn't blame. I'm not blaming Jameis Winston. I said he missed a throw, but I agreed with Anthony.
Yeah, he was great.
Jameis Winston was terrific.
It was great.
And I saw the during the game they posted the stat. They had like 8 or 9, and I don't think it was at the end of the game. It was like during the maybe midway, maybe third quarter. They had like 8 or 9 20-yard plays.
Yeah, I think it was between the two teams.
Oh, is that? Oh, maybe I missed it.
It was a lot of big plays.
Remember, even I think it was during Dable's rookie first year when we had the successful year, we couldn't get any big plays, any 20-yard plays. So credit to the offense. And the thing that makes me so encouraged, like I said last week, and it was one of our topics last week, long term for this team is the offensive line. And the offensive line, we didn't get a chance to talk about them again. Look good. I think we're just getting used to it, that it's becoming a habit. If this offensive, and Carmen Brasso's got to stay. But if this offensive
whatever
line
he wants
used to play at this level, and Jackson Dart could stay healthy, which is a huge if. I think there's a ton of potential optimism for this team long term. And in the NFL, it could flip real quick. But ultimately, yeah, the head coach is going to play a big part in that.
Yeah, Chris, I think I saw a stat too that said the Giants had 10 plus, or the Giants had 10, 20 plus yard like explosive plays throughout the Lions game, which is probably the most they've had in years. Yeah, crazy.
This is another reason I'm on the Joe Shane train, man. On Twitter, I said something about the coaching's bad. And guy tells me, they got to fire him. He can't draft an lineman. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, he fixed it for the most part. I'm like, he re-signed Andrew Thomas. He brought in Illuminor. He brought in Runyon. He drafted John Michael Schmitz. Oh, they're only good because of coaching. I go, well, then you just proved my point. You just proved my point. Coaching is what's holding this team back. Like I said, if the talent level was bad, we would be getting blown out in Denver, blown out in Chicago, blown out in Detroit, not losing games at 30 seconds to go.
What about the play? Remember the play to Tyrone Tracy where he was like looking for defenders and he couldn't believe that
he didn't know who the hell anybody was.
Like, talk about scheming up a guy wide open, something that Anthony talks all the time. Well, let's give Kafka credit for that play. There wasn't a guy within 30, 40 yards, it seemed, of Tyrone Tracy on that play. And I think it happened twice throughout the game, actually, on plays to Tracy. So the offense, to me, looked very encouraging. Not to say that the Lions have a great defense, but it looked very encouraging.
And that's with Winston, no Malik Neighbors, no Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah.
And the offense is doing these things with Jameis Winston, and no Darius Slayton. Not that it matters. Oh, no, Slayton did play. Forgot. It doesn't matter. He stinks. But I mean, they're doing this with Wandale's been great. I think he has to come back. I think they got to sign him.
Should have been a topic for this show. What a game he had, huh? What a first quarter specifically, incredible. The most yards ever this year by
100 yards receiving in the first quarter. Right?
Yeah, he had a monster game.
Which the last wide receiver to do that was Amani Toomer. I don't remember.
I didn't know that for the Giants. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
we could just held on some games. We'd have a totally different attitude of these. It'd be amazing. That's why the Giants drive us crazy, because we feel like they're just so close, and then we get hopium for the next year, and then inevitably something else fucks up, and we just can't win. Maybe things will change. Age 50, thank you. I'd like us to keep Kafka and Carmen Brasillo. We just need a DC and some player depth. That is on Shane.
We'll also need an OC if they keep Kafka too. So I'll be curious. I mean, I don't know enough about Tim Kelly to say whether or not he's done a good job. It's pretty much Kafka's offense. He's calling the plays. I don't really know how much has changed there. But I think Kafka's done a great job with the offense. If it continues under Dart and they win some games, it's going to be hard to say. All I know is if it comes down to Kafka and like Matt Nagy and Arthur Smith, you bet your ass I'm campaigning for Kafka. Because
absolutely.
Well, yeah, he's still far from my preference. I still want me personally, I want an established head coach. That's what I want. But I see a lot of people pushing Anthony's favorite guy, Chris Shula. A lot of people were talking about him today on Twitter, and he's done a phenomenal job. They have the #1 ranked defense in the NFL this year. I worry about his experience a bit, especially based on what the results we've had with inexperienced guys in the past. He's only had 1 year as a defensive coordinator in the NFL, but a lot of people are very high on him. He'd be a popular. I thought this was it's his second year, Anthony. My mistake.
Second year, yeah.
So a lot of people are very high on him. I'm not Team Kafka right now. I'm just open to it. Like if the team won 4 out of the last 5, I'm open to it. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, same. I think Kafka's done a good job, but like you guys mentioned, he's got to win. Yeah. And I feel like he got rid of the biggest problem, which was our defensive coordinator, and we'll see if it makes a difference.
Yeah.
The offense, man, I'm pretty sure every Giants fan had our sentiment going into the year is if the offense could just make enough plays, this defense is going to win games, and it has been the complete opposite. It's like if the defense can just make enough plays, the offense is good enough to win games. It's the complete opposite. And again, this is with Jameis Winston and no Malik Neighbors, and Jackson Dart's looked fantastic when he's played, and Dart's probably going to play Monday. I guess he probably could have played. They didn't clear him, but you practiced, so I got to imagine, and he gets an extra day. Got to imagine he's close. And if he doesn't play this week, you still give him the week off, and he'll be ready to go after the bye.
Another crazy stat I want to throw out there: the Giants this year have had 2 500-yard games. Before this year, you have to go all the way back to 2019 before they had a 500-yard game. Somehow they've lost both of them. And I think the stat I saw was that maybe I misread it. Don't quote me on this. But I think that there's been 7 other 500-yard games this year, which if that's true, maybe I'm wrong. The Giants have had 2 and 9, which is crazy. But in the other 7 games, the teams are 7 and 0.
I'm sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, the Lions almost had 500. I think they had 494 total. But
yeah,
I'll tell you what, it sucks that we lost, but it was definitely a fun game. Of course, we knew that we knew the outcome. We knew it was going to happen. It's inevitable. Jason, thank you, says if Kafka can win a few games, he will be considered. He's going to get an interview, I would imagine.
He'll get a respectable. Out of respect, he'll get an interview, especially if Shane's back as the GM. We'll see about that. But for him to be a legitimate contender, I think he's got to win probably 4 games, if I'm being honest, out of the last 5, at least 3.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of? It's not Kafka, so it's kind of unrelated, but I want to bring it up anyway. Lou Anarumo. We saw Ryan Dunleavy yesterday mention that he's the slight favorite in the clubhouse right now, according to his sources. And then Josina Anderson reported today that she heard the exact same thing. Just like completely 2 different unrelated reports. Lou Anarumo seemingly the favorite, and both of them cited his friendship with Joe Shane as the reason why he's the favorite. So I did a whole video on this today on Fireside Giants. I'm sick and tired of familiarity hires. I think all the Giants do is hire friends, and I think that's why they're in the mess that they're in. Even when you go to Dable, it's like everybody's, that was outside of the tree. No, it wasn't. That was a Bill Belichick recommendation, just like Joe Judge was. All they do is just hire their friends and friends of friends, and it's a nepotism culture that's ultimately sunk in this franchise over the last 15 years. That's my personal opinion of it. But I want to hear what everybody else has to think about Lou Anarumo.
Ties too, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like
he's from Staten Island. Yeah, he's from Staten Island. He was the defensive backs coach for the Giants in 2018.
That's right.
Giants sucked in 2018. Shocker.
Yes, they did.
And he was in Miami as a defensive backs coach at the same time that Joe Shane was in Miami. So that's how they know each other, and that's how they became friends.
Yeah, I'm not gonna poo-poo it if they hire him. Of course, I'll give the guy a chance. But like you, Anthony, I don't want guys with ties to this team. I want to think outside the organization. That's not ideal for me. Like that's why I was somewhat encouraged when they brought in Shane and Dable, even though they still had, like you said, loose ties to the organization. It wasn't direct ties, like a guy like a Dave Gettleman was. But I agree. I want to go more towards guys that haven't been connected to this organization, because the Giants have been the worst outside of the New York Jets, the worst team in the NFL. Maybe the Browns have been worse, but the Giants are right there since they've won their last Super Bowl. So I agree. I want out of the box. I don't want guys that are connected in any way, shape, or form to people that have been around this team over the last 10 or 15 years.
Also,
Agreed.
he was the DC of the Bengals for the last from 2019 to 2024 before he got to the Colts. Horrible.
Terrible.
I'm like, I'm with you. Like, enough of the let's hire people that we're friends with. This is
Right. Stop hiring your friends.
It's not a frat. Like, you have to produce to keep your job and to be considered. So why are we picking people who don't have he doesn't even have a good trajectory of being a great DB's coach or defensive coordinator. Why the fuck would you consider him?
The other thing I'll say, Adriana, am I supposed to be I mean, I don't watch every Colts game. I'll be the first to say it. I watch the Giants. But am I supposed to be super impressed with the job he's done with the Colts as a defensive coordinator this year, when the Colts have had an historically good offense? It's a lot easier to operate as a defensive coordinator when your team's putting up 32 points a game like the Colts have been able to do for the most part this year. So I don't know. I'm with Anthony and you as well, Adriana, on that one. Again, I'll give him a chance, of course, if they hire him, but he's far from my favorite candidate.
I just feel like it's going to be Bowen all over again.
This is where I kind of have to poke the bear / poke the bad dog. This is why Joe Shane, not my guy. I just don't trust him to do this head coaching search for reasons like this. And I think you're right. The Giants have been close in a lot of these games, and the talent is there in some aspects. But he also spent $215 million this offseason in free agency to fix things that are just not fixed. The secondary is still a mess, and he spent a lot of money there. I think he neglected the interior defensive line completely, and that was a mistake. Roy Robertson Harris and Jeremiah Ledbetter are not difference makers. I don't know. I would like somebody else to do this head coaching search.
I agree with you, Anthony. I'm going to poke the bad dog too. And it's funny because the roles are usually reversed. I'm usually team patience, and I'm not going to be outraged if they keep Joe Shane. I'll see some sense behind it, but I'm with you. At this point, I think Joe Shane has done – he hasn't done enough good, in my opinion. I think he's done some good things. I think overall he's a pretty smart guy. I think he has a plan, but overall the plan hasn't worked, and his talent evaluation hasn't been very good. If you want to point to some of the good things Shane has done, I could point to plenty of good things Dave Gettleman did. But overall, he was a bad general manager. So I am leaning with you. I think I'm hoping that they start completely over and they bring in a new GM next year. I just don't think they're going to, based on some of the hints that we've gotten. But like I said last week, I think the bye week is going to tell us a lot. I think if you start to hear a lot of whispers that the Giants are looking to extend a lot of players from within this team, I think that at least leans more towards Joe Shane's probably coming back.
Well, the thing with Joe Shane for me is, I mean, I don't know how long, I don't know how you're supposed to, I mean, how many players can he bring in? How much depth can he build when he had no cap space? And yeah, the 2023 draft looks like shit. I'm not going to lie. It was a bad draft. JMS is playing better, but I mean, he's hit on some players. I just don't know how much he can do. We've been a bad team for many years now. And I feel like he has some direction without question. And again, I feel like they're competitive. Now, to your point, maybe he doesn't know how the fuck to hire a coach. And if we're talking about the coaching is the problem and Joe Shane's the reason they have bad coaching, then I would agree with you and say you got to find somebody that knows how to hire a coaching staff, because I feel like that's the biggest issue here. It's not the talent. I think there's enough talent, and you want Shane to build more talent. But if you can't get the proper guys in there to coach a talent, it ain't going to fucking matter how talented they are. We saw it this year. So I can agree with you on that aspect. He's got to do a better job of finding somebody to, coach his team.
I think if I'm going to give any benefit of the doubt to Shane, where I'll give it to him is if this defense does get significantly better down the final stretch of the season, because based on everything that I've read, and I don't know if you guys have read all the same info, but Charlie Bullen essentially became the interim defensive coordinator because he's friends with Joe Shane. That was Joe Shane essentially made that promotion. So typically the GM doesn't work with the staff like that, doesn't make the hirings and the firings. It's the head coach's job. But what happened here is Charlie Bowen was brought onto the staff due to his familiarity with Shane from their shared time in Miami. And when Mike Kafka wanted to make the firing of Shane Bowen, he actually consulted with Joe Shane. And Joe Shane decided, yes, let's move on from Shane Bowen. Let's actually make Charlie Bowen the defensive coordinator rather than a guy like Patterson or Marquand Manuel, who is a former defensive coordinator. He's the defensive backs coach. It was actually Joe Shane's guidance that got Charlie Bowen to become the defensive coordinator. So I'll watch and see what Charlie Bowen does. If Charlie Bowen ends up being a stud over the final few weeks of the season, maybe I'll have a little more confidence in Joe Shane. But again, I just don't want this general manager doing this head coaching search with his back against the wall after 3 losing seasons and essentially weighing his friends on a different scale as opposed to the other candidates for the job. That's my biggest fear, because Lou Anarumo, look at him, stack him up against all the other candidates. You're not telling me that he compares with a Mike McCarthy, that he compares with a Chris Shula or Jeff Hafley or Jesse Minter. I can name so many off the top of my head that are more qualified and more exciting candidates. And I don't want these familiarity guys, even Kafka. Yeah, I think Kafka. So I don't want these guys weighing on a different scale just because they're friends with the GM.
The quickest way to go out of business is hiring your friends into the job, man.
The other argument I think you could make why it may be the appropriate time to fire Shane if they're going to do it is it's a very attractive job right now for a general manager. The same arguments I've made why it's an attractive job for a head coach. You gave Joe Shane 4 years. You gave him an opportunity to build his team. General manager will look at, okay, they had some patience. They have the quarterback of the future, or at least we hope they do with Jackson Dart. If he can stay on the football field, the offensive line's starting to look a little bit better. The cap situation is very good long-term for this team. So I think it's a much more attractive job than it was when they fired Dave Gettleman, which means it would be an enticing job for a general manager candidate. So I think that's the other argument. I think the argument to keep Shane, if we're playing devil's advocate, Jackson Dart and the offensive line has gotten progressively better since he's been here. You may chalk that up to Carmen Basillo, but regardless, it's gotten a lot better since he's been here. And of course, the Brian Burns trade, like you've said, Bad Dog, he's made some good draft picks. He's not all bad, but I don't think he's been good enough.
It makes sense. It's fair. Dominic, thank you. Says Javon Holland cost us this stupid delay of game penalty. Detroit doesn't make that field goal. They make it. It's against the Giants, man.
They would have made it.
The biggest issue, like I said, isn't the 5 yards. It's that it stopped the clock. Penalty stopped the clock under 2 minutes ago. That was a killer. You can't do. Yeah, and you're a leader, like you're a veteran. You need to know better. Just was stupid.
And just one other thing on Javon Holland. I just don't think he's shown up to play. I know he had an interception in this game. I don't think he's shown up to play properly this season. He has not looked good, completely underwhelmed. And I have to go back to the Joe Shane conversation with this one because, again, so much money invested into this defense, particularly the secondary, on a guy like Javon Holland to try and replace Xavier McKinney, who's still way better than Javon Holland. But really, when you look at the process of this defense, I know somebody mentioned it earlier, the Carl Banks video where he was talking about the defensive line not being able to get off the blocks and everything. The defensive linemen that the Giants are playing with are not good. Dexter Lawrence is good. Everybody likes to point at Shane Bowen for moving Dexter Lawrence off that nose tackle position, moving him across the defensive line. What choice does he have? Like, I can't believe I'm actually defending Shane Bowen, but what choice does he have? The other interior defensive linemen suck. So if they're getting hit up the B gap all the time, well, now you have to put Dexter Lawrence on the B gap. You can't have him on the A gap anymore because they're hitting you in the B gap. And then all of a sudden you move him there. And now all of a sudden, now they're hitting you up the A gap. Now you got to move Dexter Lawrence back there. Then they're going back to the B gap because they don't have anybody that can actually stop the run. So it's not just people like to point to the coaches. It's a coaching thing. It's a talent thing too. They do not have enough talent 100%. In the trenches on the defensive line. That's a Joe Shane issue. I said it in the offseason. They needed to do more to address that. They neglected the interior defensive line. They said Dexter Lawrence is the only guy we need in that position. That's essentially what he said to me. And I know they drafted Darius Alexander. It's a good point, Gregory, but he's a rookie. You can't expect him to step in and be a world beater year one of his career.
And another guy that you didn't mention, and maybe you did, and maybe I missed it, you spent a very high draft pick on Tyler Nubin. Tyler Nubin,
he's
been
not very good.
Yeah,
not very good. In defense of Tyler Nubin, it would be, well, these guys are hitting the hole and they've got a full head of speed, so it's really hard to make that tackle. Sure, but that's why you needed to invest more in the trenches so that they aren't hitting you with the full head of speed. Because, again, the whole thing with Dexter Lawrence, I just don't agree with that narrative. I think Dexter Lawrence is playing good football, and I think that he's being moved across the defensive line. It's not because Shane Bowen wants to do that. Ideally, you play him in the zero, you play him at nose tackle, and he world beats your center, and he just boat races your center all game long. But you can't do that if the guy lining up on each of his shoulders just isn't good enough to stop the run. And Nacho, he got a couple sacks this season, whatever. Darius Alexander, the rookie, they're just not making an impact. And that's why Dexter Lawrence is moving all over the place. That's why his impact is lessened. And that's why the Giants can't stop the run, in my opinion.
With that said, let's just give a shout out to the final sponsor of Giants Collective tonight. That is Sleeper. They have 2 great promotions going right now. Let's hear from the first one. 30 seconds back after this for the rest of your questions right after this.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using the code HMA. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
The other great part about Sleeper is if you want to try out Sleeper for free, all you got to do is click the link in the description and open a new Sleeper account. They're going to give you $20 for nothing. No deposit, no credit card, no debit card, no nothing. Just use that link in the description, open a Sleeper account, you get a free $20 to play with. And if you want to make a deposit because you enjoy it, you're still eligible for the 100% match deposit bonus using the promo code HMA. Terms and conditions apply. Enjoy it, win some cash. And thank you, Sleeper, for sponsoring this portion of Giants Collective. Where am I? I did that one. Bear, thank you. He says, hot take. I don't think we should draft the wide receiver in the first or even second round. Draft Arvell Reese and a corner in the second. We'll see who's making the draft picks.
Yeah, I'll speak on that first. I got to see what they do in free agency. I got to see what they do in terms of a trade market. But I have to expect, as I think we've all talked about, assuming Jackson Goodhart's the quarterback next year, if we bring in a new GM, I think that's very safe to assume he will be. You have got to prioritize helping him out as quickly as you possibly can. You have to get him off on the right foot. It's why I do expect them, if it's not a very early draft pick, to invest a lot in a wide receiver and to shore up the offensive line in free agency. So, I get what you're saying, because I think right now it's very fair to say that the bigger weakness on this team right now is the defense, the way that they've played. And there's a lot of really good defensive prospects at the top of this draft. If they don't address the wide receiver position in free agency, I think they're going to do it very early. Maybe not in the first. Maybe it'll be the second. But I think they're going to do it very early in this draft.
We'll see. We'll see who's making those picks.
Yeah.
If it's Joe Shane or if it's somebody else. Jason, thanks. Just Kafka went for the win. He went for the win. He stated it'll be aggressive. If Jameis hit Theo, we win the game. Everybody would be happy. It didn't work, but why not?
Yes,
I'd rather them get it on third down. That's the way I look at it instead of second. But nitpicking.
Yeah. And that was my big argument too. Like, it's the same thing when we talked about with Dable back in 2020, the season opener against the Titans. He goes for 2 and he makes it. So everyone's applauding him. We like that he's aggressive, but they go for 2 and they miss it and they lose. We're having a very different conversation. The difference to me is that Kafka has said he was going to be aggressive and he's consistently done that in only 2 weeks. And you go for the win, you get that. You're up by 10, the game's over. It doesn't matter if the defense makes a stop or not. You don't have to worry about it. So I also we're 2-9. Everyone freaking out about that. It wasn't a fucking playoff game. It wasn't a game we were fighting for the division.
Right.
We go for it and we lose. Big whoop. We're losing anyway. Come on.
Yeah. What do you got to lose at 2-9? That's the exact thing. And yeah, if we go up by 10, their running game is null and void. They're not running. And we know that's all they did. Goff wasn't great in that game against us. I mean, the Giants shut down Jameson Williams. He didn't have one catch.
I thought he had one. He didn't have one catch, Jameson Williams?
One catch in that game.
Oh.
I think one got called back as a penalty.
That's what it was. You're right. Yeah.
But
Cordell Flott was on him too.
Cordell Flott's been great this year.
There you go. That's Joe Shane draft pick. One from my side.
I don't hate Shane. I'm not as anti-Shane as Anthony, but I side a little bit more with Anthony. But
the other thing is with Joe Shane, I mean, he neglected the interior defensive line, but he had to pay money for the secondary. That's my thing. Like he only has so much money he can work with, and he almost only has so much draft capital. It's hard to get everything you need. And when people are like, he has no depth, I'm like, bro, we're on our 8th string linebacker here. Like, we're on our 8th string cornerback. Like, how much depth can one team have? You know what I mean? Joe Shane ain't been perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know. At 2-10, which is ridiculous to say for some, I feel like headed in the right direction. But they have their quarterback now. So no matter who the GM is next year,
that's
they
where I'm at.
should not fuck it up because it's easier to build now that you have that guy.
Exactly. Like, if they fire Shane, I'm not going to be upset at all.
I'm not going to be upset about it either.
But I agree. No matter who the GM is, the outlook for this team going forward, if Dart could stay on the field, he's got to slide, should be much more optimistic than it's been in the past. Because at the end of the day in the NFL, if you have the quarterback, things flip like that, right? You see it with the New England Patriots. You've seen it with the Commanders last year when Jaden Daniels was healthy. Things can flip real quick. So regardless of who the GM is, Baddog, like you said, whether it's Shane or whether it's someone else, I think the expectations next year are going to be a lot higher.
Especially when you get, Jordan Tyson.
And you get Malik Neighbors back. That kind of helps too.
You get Jordan Tyson and Malik Neighbors. That feeds families. And you sign Wandale. You got something. You keep Carmen Rosillo and you get another lineman in here and get a guy that can call a defense and you got an easier schedule. The Giants might go 5-12 next year. Looking really good. Age 50. That's where I'm putting us. I don't even care what the schedule is. I don't care what we do in free agency. I don't care who the hell our GM is coaching. I'm picking us for 5 games next year. They ain't fucking getting me again. This shit is not happening again. Age 50. Thank you. He says, did Dable start Wilson so he could start Dart earlier to prove he was right about Dart? No, because if he wanted to prove he's right, I think Dart would have started week 1, if I'm being honest. If Winston started the season, Dart may have not started week 4. Dable may have less games at Dart. I also think if Russell Wilson beats Dallas, that Russ starts more. But no, I think if Dable really wanted to prove that Dart was the guy, he would have just started him opening week.
I mean, the easy answer for me on this is they paid Wilson a lot more money. So I think the clear intention going into the year, obviously things evolved throughout the course of it, but going into the year was Russ was going to be the starter to open up the year. So no, I don't think it was they started Russ because they knew he would struggle to get the rookie quarterback Jackson Dart in there sooner. No, I think he coming out of camp, he was the guy that they pegged to be QB1.
He also looked good during camp too. So it's not like he looked horrible and they forced him in there because he was the veteran and he spent the most amount of money. Like out of camp, he was consistently with the ones hitting. Jalen Hyatt looked good in camp too before he got injured, but it was just
camp and preseason ain't fooling me either.
Never again.
Predicting them to win 5 games until they actually have a winning record. I'm not. You're not getting me again. You're not doing it again to me, New York Giants. Nope. I might pick this to go 2-15 next year. You're not getting me, Timothy. Thank you, buddy. He says Kafka's trying to win with a third of a team. That's why everyone notices mistakes. I like what he's done so far. He hasn't hurt himself. I don't think. I think he hasn't embarrassed himself. I mean,
I agree. I think
Green Bay and Detroit are 2 good teams. We had to lead in the 4th quarter, and we should have beat Detroit.
Whether it's with us or whether it's with somebody else, Mike Kafka is going to have a job next year. It might not be as a head coach, it might be as an offensive coordinator, but I think the job he's done these 2 games has only helped him in terms of being able to get a job elsewhere. If it's not with the New York Giants, I think he's done a good job.
Yeah.
There's some speculation that Kafka, if he doesn't get a head coaching job or it's not with the Giants, that he would stay on as OC because he doesn't want to uproot his family and his young kids. I don't know how true that is, but I guess we'll find out.
That would of course be up to the new head coach too. But yeah.
Familiarity with Jackson Dart, I think, would definitely strengthen Kafka's position there as an OC. Because Jackson Dart, again, he's looked really good when he's been in there without Malik Neighbors. I
could see it if they go with what a lot of people seem to think they're going to do, go with a defensive-minded head coach. He may say, I want Dart to be comfortable. I could see it. I'm not necessarily predicting it, but I don't think it's an off the wall idea.
Marcus, thank you. He says, I think he needs a passing wide receiver and take Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs. Our linebacking group and secondary is beyond shit. Well, he's not going to be able to get both of those guys, but one or the other.
Arvell Reese on someone's draft board, I forget who it was. It wasn't Mel Kiper, but they have him as the number 1 pick overall, that he is the best player in the draft. We'll see how that changes as time goes on, but we're not going to.
Depends on who's
picking to get a couple of them.
If the Titans are picking first, perhaps, because they have their quarterback, but If the Raiders are picking first, the Raiders need a quarterback bad. I don't know.
I like the Clemson defensive lineman too, Peter Woods. He's someone that they're going to look at top 10 if they're picking there for sure.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of options. And again, if you're picking second, somebody wants to trade up and get a quarterback, and that's the good thing about having your quarterback. If you are picking top 5, is you're going to have some trade partners that say, "Hey, I want to come up and get this guy," and you can kind of slide back and get one of the guys that you want, plus probably an extra first round pick the next year. And then maybe that's kind of, Gettleman had 2 first round picks and Shane made them. So maybe Shane gets 2 first round picks and somebody else makes them in 2027. Who the hell knows? But this offseason is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Saraf, thank you. Says Shane has done a really nice job. Do you like our O-line? Do you like Burns? Even Banks and Newman were good rookies, so we can't blame the decline on him. It's weird how they really did go back. Normally you think like a quarterback, I get. You get film on a quarterback. They have the sophomore slumps. Like Stroud didn't have as good of a year. Daniels didn't have as good of a year. Caleb Williams is having a better year. Not much better. Drake May's having a fantastic year. But it is weird that Newman would be so bad this year. And it's not like they changed defensive coordinators. Bowen was the DC here last year, and Newman looked pretty damn good. The problem with Newman is he was supposed to be like a ball hawk. I don't even know if he has an interception in his career. He doesn't. None of these guys take the ball away.
He was Nick Saban's favorite player or favorite safety coming out in the draft. And I'm like, I just don't get it. Like, I will never forget that Nick Saban was so high on him that I just can't figure out what the issue is. And I'd really love to know the backstory on what happened with Bowen back in January when John Mara is out here saying, I'm sick of watching other teams run up and down the field on us and we have to make changes, blah, blah, blah. And then they keep Bowen. And I'm just like, these young guys like them, they're supposed to be getting better every year. And the coaching staff is just not doing that. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I think Newman with better coaching will be better. I think next year, hopefully, I don't know, maybe we'll even see it in the next couple weeks, but I'm really disappointed with what's going on with Newman too. I thought this year he was going to lead the defense in interceptions. Like, just bizarre.
Yeah.
It has been. The defense has been bizarre.
Yeah.
It just has. It's been really weird. Analysis. Thank you. He says our strength of schedule per tankathon is now the 4th hardest schedule, tied with the Texans. Predict the final record. The draft spot we're picking. I got 5-12 picking. Nice.
Yeah, that's why I don't think we're going to be picking second or anywhere near second when it's all said and done, because I look at our remaining games and I find it hard. Well, I shouldn't find it hard because the Giants just find ways to lose games. But I look at our remaining schedule and look at how they've competed against some Super Bowl contenders. Really, the Detroit Lions are a Super Bowl contender. The Denver Broncos are a Super Bowl contender.
Smashed the Eagles. We kicked their ass.
Obviously a Super Bowl contender. So I just think we're going to find a way to beat some of these teams. The depleted Washington roster.
The Raiders. The Raiders.
I don't think we're going 0-5. And when you look at the strength of schedule, like analysis said, we're going to lose to anybody because the schedule that we played this year. So even if the
Giants are 4th highest, so because the Commanders have had a bad year, so that actually helps.
More games, bad dog. I think we're going to be picking. I don't know, but I would guess at least 7th or 8th. I don't think we'll pick a top.
I don't think we're picking top 5 either.
Yeah.
Again, we're the Giants, so you're sitting here, you're playing these Super Bowl contenders really tough. Like I said, you kill the Eagles. I think the Eagles are only giving up 30 points in one game, or so the Giants. You do all this stuff, and then the Giants, being the Giants, will lose to the Raiders. Like, that's the shit we do, right? Yeah. You lose to Geno Smith. Ashton Genty has a career day and runs for like 187 and 3 touchdowns. That's all the Raiders got to do. They want to win beat the Giants. Here you go. Well,
let's do it. Let's predict the Giants' final record. Analysis says 5-12.
I agree, because we're beating the Patriots Monday, and then we're beating the Raiders and the Commanders.
I think
we're beating them.
I really think we finished 3-2. I think we win 3 out of our last 5. So I'm gonna go just because I think our schedule is piss poor. JG McCarthy,
Yeah.
like you said, Baddog has been
Oh,
awful.
he's terrible. He
Yeah.
ain't even play against us. I forgot we had Minnesota. Shit, we're winning 4 games. We're winning 6.
I think we can win 4 out of 5. I don't
Yeah.
think we're going to beat the Pats.
I
but
think we can beat Dallas too, if I'm being honest. But then
You
again,
know
I
what?
feel like
This is what I'm manifesting, is that Dallas wins every game up until they play the Giants and they think they're going to make the playoffs, and then we beat them and they're out of the playoffs.
be the best. That's what the 2022 Lions into the Packers. They
I'm
give
gonna-
them
I'm
the-
Very
gonna-
possible too.
I'm going to go 5-12 with a 3-2 finish. What does everybody else say? You said 4-1, Baddog?
4-1 because we're
I'm going
winning, and then
4-1.
we're gonna beat we're like McCarthy. There's something Joe Shane did right. He did not take fucking McCarthy, who I couldn't stand coming out of Michigan, and I'm so glad he did. I hated McCarthy.
Hand
did
off
not like
Merchant.
What do you got, Anthony? What's your final record?
I think they'll finish with 4 wins. They'll get 2 more.
4 wins total. 2-3, 4 wins
Yeah.
total.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll get 2 more. They're not getting 4 more.
Even if they
I
win
don't
2,
think so.
though, when you look at the tiebreakers, they're going to be outside of the top 5 in the draft.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Well, if we beat the Raiders, the Commanders, that'll put them ahead of us because their
Strength of schedule will change though too, right? Because as
Because
the
we're playing
team's
week apart.
records change,
Right.
yeah. So the strength of schedule that it is now, it's not going to be the same when the season.
We
ends.
were
So
first
They
going
could have
into-
tiebreakers.
So that helps that we have a lower strength of schedule. It helps our tiebreaker now that it's not first in
Yeah.
the league.
Mhm.
I think that the Titans, the Titans have a high, somebody's got ahead of us has a harder strength of schedule. I just forget who it was.
If you look at all right, this is the Titans do. So this is the strength of schedule as of today. The Titans are 577. We're 548. And then the teams around us, you have the New Orleans Saints, who are not going to pass. It's too big of a discrepancy. They're 490. The Jets are 524. Vegas is 558. The Browns, we will not pass. They're 479. So, yeah, maybe. I mean, Washington's
The
560.
Browns are going to win more games.
Yeah.
Their defense is good. Can we get Myles Garrett?
Oh, my God. What a year he's having.
So good.
What a year he's having.
So good. Mandeep, thank you. What's up, guys? What do you think? Hire Steve as head coach, keep Mike as OC, assistant head coach. I don't want Spagnuolo back here. I loved him when he was here. I don't want him as our head coach.
Same.
He's
I
not
don't
my
think he
first
wants to
choice.
be
He's
head
not my
coach.
first choice. Not my first choice. I wouldn't scream if they did it, but he's not my first choice.
I'm with Anthony. I don't think he wants to be head coach. He's got a good in Kansas City. I don't think he needs to be.
In the world of realistic candidates, if we're not counting Mike Tomlin, who I would love, if we're not counting Kevin O'Connell, if the Vikings decide to move off him, I would love him. You look at some of the other Harbaugh, people throwing him out there from the Ravens. In the world of reality, it's boring. I know people are going to hate me for it. I don't hate the Mike McCarthy idea. I don't hate the Mike McCarthy.
Talk
idea.
myself into it more and more every day.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I do. Because people, like I said, they can say, hey, he doesn't win playoff games. He doesn't win Super Bowls. Like I said, Tomlin has won Super Bowl. Harbaugh has won Super Bowl. They both of them go out early in the postseason, and everyone thinks they're the greatest. McCarthy does the same thing. Wins 12 games every year. You got to win regular season games before we can talk about winning playoff games. McCarthy can win regular season games. It's something we haven't done here in 13 years. It'd be nice to at least be in the playoff hunt and getting into the playoffs. Chris had the best analogy when he said, McCarthy's our Thibodeau for the Knicks.
That's what you would hope he is. But
Right.
yeah,
That's what he.
I think he's capable of being that.
Thunder, thank you. Says Kafka's head coach, Lane Kiffin as offensive coordinator. He co-started Ole Miss. I don't think Lane Kiffin would leave Ole Miss to be an offensive coordinator.
Lane Kiffin's only leaving Ole Miss if University of Florida or LSU are unloading Brinks trucks for him to be their head coach. He's not. I don't even think he's leaving college, not even for an NFL head coaching job.
Some of the things I didn't know, Anthony, he hasn't been very steadfast that he's definitely staying with Ole Miss the way that he's answered some of the questions.
No, he hasn't. I'm watching this intently. My girlfriend went to UF, so I'm hoping he goes to UF for her. We want to root
It's
for the
either
Gators.
LSU
I'm actually
or
going to
UF,
Gators
right?
game on Saturday. So, but
LSU
yeah,
or
he
UF is what I've read, right?
he visited with UF. He visited with LSU. I highly doubt he visits with the New York Giants. Those two programs are going to offer him money that the Giants probably can't, honestly. So,
Yep.
that's what it's going to be.
Also,
be
he's never won a playoff game as a head coach in college. Why are people so obsessed with him? He can't win
Because of the dart.
a playoff
That's
game.
all.
in
Just
college, and you think he's going to succeed in the NFL? Like,
It's
come on.
because
I get the obsession from a college football fan perspective. He's rebuilt some programs. The Ole Miss football program, it is what it is now because of Lane Kiffin. He did it with FAU as well. He's an excellent program builder, but that doesn't mean he's a good NFL offensive coordinator or head coach.
Yeah.
What do you think of the idea of Marcus Freeman? Because that's been a name that the Giants have thrown out there.
I think he's an awesome head coaching candidate. I don't think that he is the right candidate for the New York Giants right now because
I think I agree with you on that. I think I love him as a potential NFL head coach one day.
Yeah,
I just don't love him for our circumstance right now.
Yeah, I feel like we need an experienced guy. I just feel like we need an experienced NFL retread at this. I really do. The safe pick is McCarthy. It's safe.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with Kiffin. Ole Miss, they're trying their hardest not to let Kiffin go anywhere. Notre Dame's not going to let Marcus Freeman go anywhere. He's a young coach who just made them a juggernaut program. They're going to give him so much money unless he just doesn't want to coach college, but he does. He loves coaching college. That's where he wants to be. The Giants aren't going to outbid Notre Dame. That much is a certain fact.
Yeah, he's a superstar.
Brian, thank you. He says, I want to know who made the decision to start Russ after Dart was injured. If it was Shane, he needs to go too. Jameis is always better than Russ. I don't think Joe Shane makes maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think the GM is making the game time decisions. I don't think he's making the lineups. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought the head coach chose. I don't think when they had the kicking competition between Koo and McTenemy, did Joe Shane look at that and go, I want McTenemy? Like, who made that decision that says Jude was a better kicker than Koo?
Not that I'm saying Brian's doing this, but you can't have it both ways. You can't say that Brian Dable was the guy that influenced and he's the reason why we have Jackson Dart on the football team and then turn around and say, oh, well, let's blame it on Shane for why Russell Wilson was in the game when Jackson Dart should have been. So if Dable has that much control and that much power over the quarterback decision-making, you don't think he's going to be the guy that determines who's the starter week to week? So that's my.
I just don't know who makes those decisions. I don't know that.
Dable even came out and said it when we made the change to Dart. He said, "This is me. This is on me." Where Shane kind of shied away from it a little bit.
Right. So there you go.
I'm sure they discuss it, but I feel like Dable makes the final decision as the head coach.
Yeah, I have a feeling he decides who suits up. I don't think that's Joe Shane, but who knows? I mean, I never thought the GM decides who's on the roster, but I don't think he decides who suits up.
I think that's right. The head coach decides who suits up on Sundays, but because the GM decided what the roster was going to look like, and because he handed that money to Russell Wilson and told him he's going to be the starting quarterback and told Brian Dable that's our starting quarterback, I think that's why people get that kind of perception. So, and I don't think they're wrong for that either.
I could get that for the first 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, after Dart was hurt, I don't really know why. Going back to Russ didn't really make a ton of sense. So I don't know.
That's who knows? John, thank you, man. I think this team as a head coach will install some toughness. I would like Shula from the Rams.
Me too.
He's the most popular name right now. I mean,
it's a good coaching tree. I mean, Stafford's having a career year. Remember the beginning of the year, there was talk about the Giants trading for Matt Stafford.
Doesn't hurt when you got McVay calling you plays, but yeah, he's been. He's
learning from one of the best.
He's been incredible. Yeah,
we'll see. It's gonna, like I said, you'll want to tune into the episodes of Giants Collective in the offseason because we're gonna have a lot to discuss. Analysis. Thank you so much. The second highest paid defense ranked 30th. What the fuck?
And 31st in the red zone. They have no pretty stats. I think they're dead last in terms of yards per against on the ground.
They are by far.
Yeah, they're
the worst in the history of the NFL, allowing 5.9 yards a carry.
Is that true? Is that true? Is that the worst?
Mm-hmm. That's the worst in the
history of the NFL.
5.9 yards a carry.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Why are we always breaking records? Like 2 years ago, we had the second worst offensive line in the history of the NFL. We gave up 80 whatever sacks.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. We lost 8 in a row at home. Yeah, the Giants break all these dubious distinctions. They're good. And we're the first eliminated from the playoffs this year. So we're, doing what we do best. Fucking losing. What, why, when? I feel like those are the 3 questions I ask every time I watch the Giants. Carter, king of almost sack, another bust. I'm not calling Abdul Carter a bust after 12 games. I'm not.
It's crazy.
No.
He also, before this game, had 35 pressures more. Wait, I want to find this stat that I have, because I've seen a lot of people being like, Abdul Carter sucks, he's a bust. And I'm like, I just don't think you're paying attention. So
I remember people used to say that same thing about Leo, and now everybody's like, why did we get rid of Leonard Williams? So it said the same shit.
So Abdul Carter is leading.
If he does this next year, and I'm not saying he hasn't done anything this year, I agree with what Adriana's about to say. He has been a disruptor at times. He has gotten a lot of pressure. If he doesn't have a more impactful season next year, I'll start to think there's some credence to those claims. But can we give the guy a second year? Can we give him a better defensive coordinator than Shane Bowen? That's my take on it.
Yeah, we've talked extensively about how Shane Bowen sucks. Also, Brian Burns is the only one on the team who's getting sacks. Dexter Lawrence is not. Kayvon is not. Literally, Abdul Carter is not. Burns is the only one. So I think it's fair to say that the sack issue is a team problem, which probably stems from Shane Bowen and schemes. Abdul Carter is leading rookies in pressures. This was before the Lions game. He had 35. James Pierce was next at 23. 12, a difference of 12, and we haven't had our bye week yet. He also ranks first in hurries at 26, second in quarterback hits with 8, and first in win rate 13.1. Obviously, he needs the sacks to go along with that. That's what determines an impact player. But to say that he's a bust is literally insane.
He's
still getting a lot of pressure.
He hasn't even played a full season yet. And at the end of the day, like we were talking about earlier, Anthony and me, with the run defense, until the run defense gets fixed, you're not going to be able to maximize him. When a team
it's also hard because Anthony's mentioned we play off man 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. And we mentioned this last week. How, Brian Burns is having a great year, but how many of those sacks are because Abdul Carter's flushing the quarterback out to that side of the field and Burns is there to clean it up? I mean, you can't just watch the box score. People said the same thing about Kayvon Thibodeau. Oh, he's a bust. He sucks, but because he's not getting sacks. There's more to a defensive player than sacks. It'd be nice if Abdul Carter had more, and he probably had 3 or 4 at least that got called back because of penalty on top of that. So
when you're giving up 6 yards a carry, you become a very predictable defense. So it's hard to rack up sacks in that scenario.
It's also, I think, worth noting every year the pass rushers that get drafted early, every fan base has this exact same conversation. This is just how it is for rookie pass rushers. They don't see the production until year 2 unless you're some freak of nature like Micah Parsons. There are exceptions to the rule, but typically speaking, every year, this is what we hear from fan base.
Inevitably, Anthony, he's going to be compared to because Parsons was drafted in the division, a player was drafted, they both played at Penn State, yada yada yada. Yeah.
Giants realist saying hire Shula, draft Tyson or Cardinal Tate, trade Slayton. I don't know who the hell would want Slayton. Sign Wandale and Hodgins for wide receiver 4 years, free agent, and the rest of the draft to get O-line, linebacker, cornerback, 4th place schedule next year too.
So what's the breaking point for you with Wandale Robinson? Because he is a good receiver. He is and the most impressive thing for me with Wandale Robinson is he has shown he is more than just a Cole Beasley. He is a guy that can create big plays.
This without Neighbors, mind you.
So what for you guys? What is the threshold in terms of $1 million APY average per year?
16 million a year. That's where I'd go. That's the highest I'm going.
What is that? 16?
16 million a year, I think. 3 years, 48 million, somewhere in there. 3 years, 45, 48 million, somewhere in there.
What about everybody else?
Probably fair. If Slayton,
I'm not giving him 20. I'm not giving him 20.
No. If Slayton got 13, I have to think that Wandale's probably going to get more than that.
He's definitely going to get more than that. Yeah.
Definitely. He is.
And I haven't looked at the wide receiver market, but you would have to think he's one of the 3 or 4 best ones based off his age and the way he's playing this year.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would give him on an APY right now because I think it's tough to tell because this is final year of his contract production, which is always, you have to be skeptical of that anyway. And also you have to try and project what his target share is going to be next year. And if you're talking about drafting a wide receiver in the first round, that's going to be your WR2. Now Wandale's back down to third on the team in targets, fourth on the team in carries behind Scadaboo, who's going to get a bunch of handoffs. So you're talking about paying $50 million per year for a guy who maybe gets 60 targets after it's all said and done, maybe more. Depends on how much you throw the ball, but you figure the Giants would be a run-heavy team with Dart using his legs, with Scadaboo back healthy. So it's kind of tough to project that Robinson is going to get more than 70 targets, and I don't think you can justify paying a guy like that $15 million per year. But if you don't want to take a wide receiver in the first round, and he's going to be your WR2, well, then you're going to be giving him 100-something targets, and then it's actually a bargain at that point. So it's kind of tough. It really is going to depend on the Giants' other moves around the team.
Well, let me ask you, Anthony, do you think, because the other guy that we haven't talked about throughout the stream that I think has gotten a lot better over the last 3 weeks specifically is Theo Johnson as a pass catcher. He's made a lot of great contested catches. Still has drop problems. We all know that. I think he leads the team in drop percentage. But to me, he's looked a lot better over the last 3 weeks. Do you think the combination of him and Wandale with a healthy Malik Neighbors is a good enough receiving core where you don't need to draft a wide receiver in the first round? That's the question that you have to weigh if you're the general manager.
I think it's good enough to say we don't need to force a wide receiver in the first round. It's good enough to say we can go BPA in the first round. And I think that's probably the argument for signing Wandale, because if you don't sign Wandale, well, then you're going to go into the first round draft and you're going to say, well, now we got to get a wide receiver. So I think that's the argument for signing Wandale.
There he is. You're good.
Oh, I think, I didn't see we lost him at all. Maybe your internet cut out for a second, but yeah, he was there.
Oh, I just saw him spinning around and nothing happened there. I saw you guys moving, but I didn't see Anthony moving. It was weird.
Well, but that's my argument for it. If you're going to sign him, it's that you can set yourself up to go BPA in the draft, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And then, even if you take him and if you sign him and then you go defensive line in the first round, maybe you go wide receiver in the second round. Always try and set yourself up to go BPA, and if Wandale helps you achieve that, then perhaps it is a good.
I think if they sign one, we'll know before the draft. So if they sign Wandale Robinson, you would imagine they're going to go defense in the first round. You wouldn't give him $16 million. To your point, it's a good point, Anthony, that you wouldn't give the guy $16 million a year if he's going to be third on your team in targets. If you plan on drafting another wide receiver, you probably wouldn't sign him. But if you sign him, you're probably looking at, like I said, a Caleb Downs or an Arvell Reese. There's somebody, a defensive lineman, something there. So again, it's always hard to say who do you think we're going to draft or what do you think we're going to do until free agency is over and the positions that they've signed to help the team, and then the other positions.
And you would think if Shane's back, it's more likely they sign him, obviously, because Shane drafted him. Right. So I think who the general manager is going to depend, up the probability or lower the probability.
Googs, thank you, buddy. He says, love this channel. Thank you. And follow my guy Anthony on Fireside. 4 great minds for the Giants. Hope things get better soon for the G-men.
So do we.
So do we.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. And we appreciate you for watching.
Absolutely. Vincente, thank you so much. Closely matters and horseshoes and hand grenades. That is a fact. And unfortunately, we don't play horseshoes or hand grenades. Although, you think you got hit with a couple hand grenades here with the New York Giants. With that, last one that brings us to the close of another edition of Giants Collective. Ran over today. Thank you so much for all your support and generosity. We always appreciate it. I want to give a big shout out to the sponsors: Sleeper, SeatGeek, Doer, and Manta Sleep. Again, if you haven't done so, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to their channel. We appreciate you being here. Check us out on TikTok and Instagram. And again, no show on Thursday because it is Thanksgiving. So again, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Eat and drink way too much. Enjoy your friends and family. Have a good Thanksgiving, and we will see.
By the way, before we close it out, Baddog, we asked each other on stream. We got to get their take. What is your favorite Thanksgiving dish, guys? And I want everybody in the chat to shout out their favorite Thanksgiving dish as well.
Yeah, I'm a sweet potato candy yam guy. That's my and stuffing. My two
stuffing for me. I love stuffing.
Yeah. I'm sweet potato pie too. Stuffing a close second.
Yeah, I'm right there.
Sweet potato pie is great. I'm pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie, but I love turkey and gravy.
Pecan pie is mine.
I love it all.
Pumpkin bread, cornbread, pumpkin bread. I love those. So
yeah,
so many good options.
Yeah, there is a lot of good options, but keep the green bean casserole away from me. That shit's gross. No casseroles of any kind. You know, corn. When I was a kid, I used to love the cranberry sauce. Not so much anymore. It was like my favorite when I was a kid, but I don't know. I mean, it's not like I don't like it, but there's definitely better. But someone just said cranberry sauce. There you go. Yeah. Well, whatever it is, like I said, eat too much of it, drink too much, enjoy the football, enjoy your Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next time. For Adriana down there, Anthony over there, Chris down there. See you guys next time. Enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble, gobble. We gone. Peace. Bowen sucks. Fuck him. He's gone.